Hi there, my name is Karen Longmuir. I work at Indian Residential School Survivors Society as Missing and Murdered Women's and Girls Project Coordinator. Today I'd like to talk about grief and loss and give you tools to help you through the process. You know, what is grief? What is loss? Uh, grief is something that we all go through and that we all experience in some part of our life, and we find ourselves going through different stages of grief, and each individual is different. We can't no one no two people are the same at grief. Okay, so the stages for grief, it comes in different ways. And it's not the same for everybody either. It's something that, we each experience individually, differently, and, we're not going to be the same with grief and loss. Think about your own grieving and process what works for you. Reflect on what you do, and do what works for your self-care, because it's different for everybody. Self-care is different for everybody. Let your emotions surface. Okay, let them out. Don't hold the anger, don't hold the pain, don't hold the loss. Let yourself grieve. Because if you don't, it's you can get into a very deep depression if you don't allow yourself to grieve. We all have to grieve in our own ways. It's always yeah, good one. It's always moving and unfolding. Connection to mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional. So, what that means is our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual is moving. Different. We can be angry. We can be happy. We can be spiritual. Mentally, we could be tired. We can be physically, tired, or not wanting to go forward. Emotionally, we can just shut down after loss, and we can't handle it. We don't know what to do. And then all four of those aspects, they have to come together and work together so that we can move forward and carry on with our lives. So our spiritual and our mental and our emotional well-being has to be in line, be balanced. Sometimes in our grieving process, we get stuck. We get stuck, and it's hard to move forward. It's hard to think. It's hard to function. It's hard to for life to flow. It's grief is something that it's hard to get through sometimes with some people, and that's when you get stuck. That's when you really need to reach out to elders, reach out to friends, relatives. Even if you have to go to a counselor or a therapist, when you're stuck, you need to work through the process of grief. And there are many ways to get help. I will go through that later on. And when we are stuck, and we're always can't sleep, can't eat, can't function, can't talk, can't do anything, because the grief is so much for us to bear. Um, that's when we should go get help and go seek out counseling, seek out a therapist or something. Um, you know, to lose a loved one is very, very, it's hard. It's different for everybody. Like I said, it's different for everybody. Um, you, you know, especially the loss of a really close loved one. You're the first while you're always thinking like what could have you done? What could have you? You should have been there. You should have did more for that person. You should have. You wish they weren't gone. You wish they were still here. You wish you could say goodbye. You wish you could still talk to them. When you're constantly thinking about, when you're in bed and you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't do anything, when you're constantly day after day after day after day thinking about your loved one, thinking about, what can I do? How can I function now without that person? How can I live without that person? For some people just go back to work right away. Some people grieve in different ways. They go back to work. They go do more exercises. They get into different, scenarios in life. They, some people go to addictions if they can't handle the grief or loss. And before you get hard into the addictions, it's best to go to a counselor or therapist to actually get help for the loss of your loved one. I found it when I was grieving for my mother. I was stuck too. I was always thinking of her. I didn't want to let her go. I didn't want her, I couldn't believe that, this happened. And it did happen. And, I had to deal with it. And it was hard for me to deal with it. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Day after day after day after day, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't function, and I still had a job, and I still had to work. And I needed to do something to, cope and function as for my job. I went to see this counselor, and we talked a bit. We talked about grief. We talked about self-care. We talked about, what do I want in life? Why we should actually let go of our loved ones? Why I should say goodbye? And the reason for that is so that I can function, so that our loved ones can go on their journey as well. We can't, by grieving and by holding them in our thoughts, in our body, in our life, after they're passed away, you're holding them from their journey. They're at their next part of their journey, and they need to go to their journey. And once I understood that, I came home and I prayed, and I had a talk with the person I was grieving, and I said my goodbyes, and I told him I loved him, and I told him that we all think of them. And once I did that part of grief, letting go and letting them go on their journey, I found it easier to function. I found it easier to go to work and go talk to people and do what I was supposed to do here on Earth. It is many stages, grief. Each territory, each band, each members, each person has different ways of grieving, whether it be spiritual, cultural, going through cultural ceremonies, or if you're going through different stages, always having to go to the gravesite and talk to the loved one. and letting go that way and giving them flowers, cleaning their site. Um, it's different for that loved one. But there are, like I said, there are ways that we can get through grief and loss, and it's it can be hard. Um, with that being said, I'd like to give you a few guidelines to help you through the grief and loss. It's helped me, and it's helped people around me. A lot of people, the best thing to do is talk about it, talk about their loved one, and um, talk about what they were in their life. Because the loved one that passed away is, obviously was very important in their life, and it's a matter of how you talk about that loved one and how you can let go of that loved one so they can go on their journey. Our insights, what is our what we see in ourselves helps us to what we see in ourselves, it helps us to know if we are moving or if we're not, and what we need in a way of support. So insight is what we feel, how we feel, what we feel. So we need to address all that. We need to address what we feel, how we feel. We need to cry if you need to cry. If you need to, if you need support, ask for that support. If you need to, go to a grievance group, or if you need to go to an elder, or if you need to do some kind of ceremony. It's we need insight of how we feel inside us. Our intentions guides the process, and sometimes reality does not live up to it, right? To what we intend. Intention is who we talk to about the grief and loss, what we say about the grief and loss. It's we were brought up different, and our parents taught us differently. Our friends taught us differently. Our colleagues, or people around us. When we talk about our grief and loss, this is what our intention is how we feel about it, not what we feel. It's how we feel about the grief and loss. You have to process it. You have to process the grief. You have to understand your grief. Go through the emotions. Go through the hurt, the pain, the ache, the loss. Go through your feelings. Don't give up. Let yourself process what you need to during this time. Understand your grief. Understand that it's okay to cry. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to be, not want to see people. It's okay not to, do the dishes, do the cooking. It's okay to go through our life, and things will change during this process of grieving, right? So you need to acknowledge all these feelings that you're going through. Explore your feelings. If you're feeling sad, why are you feeling sad? Obviously you miss that loved one. What can you do to fill that void, right? What can you do to fill that void? Write a letter, journal, talk to people, talk to your best friend, talk to your elder about your grief, about your loss. Let it out. If you're not a talker, let it out on paper. Let it out, in the forest. Let it out in the river. Do a spiritual bath. Explore your feelings and know, what you feel. Understand, just make sure you understand that you do need to grieve. You do need to let these feelings out. You need to experience them. You need to, process all this. Because grief is, it's the hardest thing to get over. It's it's not a weakness. Okay, it's not a weakness as if you cry. It's not a weakness if you get angry. It's not a weakness if you don't want to talk to somebody. It's not a weakness if you don't want to go to work today or do your usual routine. Understand your mourning and that you do need help. You do need comfort. You do need that time to process, how you feel. Um, you know, Nurture yourself. Take that smudge. Take that spiritual bath. Have a relaxing day. Listen to relaxing music. What makes you relaxed? What makes you feel better about yourself? We all do different things to feel better about ourselves, and we all let go of things in a different way. So what would do you better to help yourself? Let your emotions surface. Let your emotions out, because you need to let them out, and you need to deal with this. And like I said, for a lot of us First Nations people, we turn to our elders and we ask for them to pray for us. We ask them for guidance. And how did they deal with the grief? How did they deal with the loss when they had this? They went through more horrendous things than we have. And, speaking to an elder can help us through this grief and loss. They can, give us ceremonies that we can do. A lot of times that we go to an elder and we don't realize when we're just sitting there talking to them, or when we're cutting wood for them, when we're cooking for them, when we're canning for them, when we're picking medicines for them. All this is part of healing. All this is because you're letting it out. You're rethinking your thoughts and mind, and it's an elder's way of showing us that we can go on, we can cope. So, it's good to talk to the elders. It's good to, let them know that they are appreciated and that we need them very much. Debrief. Go to a debriefing group for support. If you have anger, if there's things that you need to say and get rid of that you wish that weren't said or whatever, you need to let that go. You need to carry on. Write it in a letter and burn it. Have a burning ceremony with the letter. Write your feelings down of how you feel, what you feel, and have a burning ceremony. That helps quite a bit if you write it out and burn it, because it helps clear your feelings, help clear your spirit, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So burning ceremonies are good for this. What experience of grief have you had? What experience have you had with grief? What do you feel? How is it around you? What is it in your life, in your house, in your well-being that moves you daily? If you're finding it hard to let go, you can have light a candle every day. Have pictures of your loved ones with the candle there beside it, and honor that. Think. You can sit there and think of all the good memories you had, or think of what they did. Be grateful for for what they did in your life and what they taught you. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the process, and what you experience. What did you experience, or what are you experiencing through this grief? Be self-aware. Be aware of your thoughts. Be aware of your spirit. Be aware of your mind. Beware of your physical body. We are, all of us are unique. All of us are different. All of us are unique in our own way. Process through what you have to, and so that you can heal and move forward. You can do a journaling exercise. You can write down, think about your loved one and think about what you've learned. Think about what they taught you, what works, reflect on the memory of canning fish with your grandma, or canning, picking medicines with your aunts and uncles, or your aunts, your cousins. Think about all the traditional songs and traditional drumming and the dancing and what your loved one taught you. Now that First Nations are coming back strong in our culture, a lot of us are learning more about our culture and more about medicines, more about what our ancestors learned years ago. For the medicines for grief and loss, it's good to smudge daily. It's good to light a candle. It's good to have an elder or a healer to brush you off with cedar. Cedar is part of Mother Earth. Everything on this earth is alive. And when we give it to the cedar, it's taken off and it's taken to the Creator. Our tears are, when we cry, are given to the Creator. So we have to respect Mother Earth, so that in times like this, we do appreciate the gifts that our Creator gave us. The sage for cleansing us, the cedar for taking the bad and taking the taking the hurt and pain off us. For even for sweat lodges, we have 4 rounds, and we give each round to the Creator. We give the round for our Creator. We give a round for our mothers, our grandmothers, or we give a round for our loved ones, and most of all, for ourselves, to be a stronger person. Sweetgrass we burn for to keep us strong as well. And there's a lot of teachings on sweetgrass. There's a lot of teachings on cedar trees and cedars. Tobacco, we offer tobacco. If we go into the forest and we need to be with nature, which helps too with grief and loss, we'll go to the forest and we offer the tobacco to the tree, offer the tobacco to the river, or the creek, so that we can have that spiritual bath, so that we can have that time with the Creator, and that we can give everything to the Creator, so that we can let go of all these hurts, this pain, and the suffering that we are experiencing. So there are many other tools for grief and loss. Medicines are the top one, I would say, and speaking to our elders. And our ceremonies are the most important. We need to do our ceremonies. We need to teach ceremonies to our children. And it helps us with our grief and loss, doing our ceremonies, having that burning, having that gathering, and each ceremony having a pipe ceremony for our loved ones, honoring our loved ones. That's what it is all about. It's honoring our loved ones. And if you would like any more information, please call Indian Residential School Survivors for any